Gaming has never been as big as it is today. You've got millions of kids and adults watching hours upon hours of gaming streams. Esports draws more fans than football, and good luck trying to find a next-gen console. It's the perfect time to be a gamer. To learn more about the impact gaming has on everything from mobile technology to pop culture, I hit up streaming legend DrLupo. Welcome to the show. For those who are not familiar with you, who just don't know who you are, what you do, can you tell a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Benjamin Lupo. People call me Dr. Lupo online. I am a video game streamer. I'm a father, a husband, and I try and do, I guess, as much good as I can for the gaming community while having fun and making people laugh.
You must be like the coolest dad ever.
Yeah, I've never really heard any complaints from my son, especially with all the toys and stuff that come along with it. He's been playing a lot of Forza recently with the steering wheel and everything. He's 5. He turned 6 in 7 days from when we're making this video right now, and I'm super excited, man. He's starting kindergarten, and it's a really cool experience. It's like the perfect time, right, to be able to play, do whatever he wants to do video game wise all the time.
So I grew up with Mario on the NES. I then eventually moved on to Fallout 3 was the next great game I played when I was, I guess, in college a little later. Obviously, world of difference between all this. I guess, how have you seen gaming change since you were a kid?
Gaming when I was a kid was, I think, a lot different because things like Xbox Live and you know, multiplayer over the internet wasn't a thing. So I mean, I grew up on the NES. I remember playing Duck Hunt with a little light blaster and Super Mario Brothers, and my family had all the Nintendo consoles. So for me, gaming originally was like a super family-oriented hanging out, because I had 3 older brothers, so I was hanging out with my brothers all the time, playing whatever they wanted to play. I remember NBA Jam Tournament Edition with the little multi-tap adapter for the Super Nintendo. But then you look at it now, and we're talking about, like, you have athletes and celebrities, actors and actresses. You have political figures. You've got all sorts of people involved and intermingling with each other in a community that, honestly, as far as I know, has grown to be one of the largest in the world. I think like a third of human beings play video games in some capacity, and it's so much different because when we were younger, it was seen as this like kind of taboo, like the kid that's in his basement and has Cheeto dust all over his fingers kind of thing. But now it's such a wildly accepted pastime. It's great to see the growth. It's changed so much, and I know that it's kind of dating myself because we're talking about like a 30-year period of time, right? But like, it has really grown and encompassed more inclusivity than I think I've seen from almost any other hobby turned into global market I've ever seen.
Yeah, you mentioned online gaming. That kind of heralded in a huge paradigm shift in recent years. What was when did you jump into online gaming? Was it something like you were like immediately, I'm getting into this? No, it took me a little while to go from just playing something like a Mario, something like a Fallout 3, where it's just me, to playing with other people.
Gaming, the network side of gaming and the multiplayer boom that happened, I think for me started to occur with Xbox Live and the dawn of like people play. I'm just gonna say it. Halo was like the go-to. When Halo 2 came out, I remember asking my parents very kindly if we could please get a subscription to Xbox Live and run we had like an Ethernet cable that ran up through my laundry room in my parents' house to go into my Xbox, because none of those consoles had wireless yet. And I remember jumping online and playing with people that were literally around the world. It was kind of a mind-blowing thing. I'm sure at the time it didn't even hit me how impactful the change really was. But I grew up, obviously having 3 older brothers, playing multiplayer stuff all the time locally. I had some friends up the street, a buddy of mine, Tom, who I would see all the time. We play Smash Brothers and all that. Eventually, as like people weren't available as you get older, right? I think I was starting high school. Xbox Live came along, Halo 2, and I spent countless hours playing with people all over the world. And it's because of that online multiplayer capability that I have a lot of friends and even the job that I have now, right? Without it, I wouldn't even be here.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. I think on the other side, beyond just online multiplayer, I think the other biggest paradigm shift has been storytelling. I think games like Last of Us, games like Red Dead Redemption, really elicit true emotions from people. Do you remember the first game that did that for you? Do you think that is also helping making video games as big as movies or TV?
The first game that I think really elicited some sort of emotional, a stirring, so to say, and I think still my favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger. When it came out for Super Nintendo, it was a then SquareSoft, now Square Enix game that had just one of those. It's a JRPG that's got 15 different endings and all these like impactful choices you have to make. And I remember making the decision, and this is for people that play Chrono Trigger will know exactly what I'm talking about. Glenn the frog has a curse put on him in the game, and the character that puts the curse on him, Magus, you can either recruit him to your team or you can get rid of him, and you get the ending if you play it outright, where Glenn turns back into a human being. And I remember choosing that path because it was like you had grown attached to a character. You wanted to see this like evolution, have them come to their story come to fruition and see the end of it and hopefully resolve. And it was just like really heartstring pulling moment of trying to make that decision. And I think that absolutely has had an impact on the way that people perceive games in general. Like you mentioned Last of Us, and there's tons of storytelling style games. You could easily say all of the Resident Evils and like those kind of games in a big way have evolved and grown to where it's way more about building a character and giving the players someone to feel like they can connect to, feel like they associate with. And that absolutely has impacted the way we view, I think, of major forms of media like movies and TV shows and stuff as well, because we've been seeing storytelling there for a super long time. And now that they're realizing that gaming is another avenue for that, you've seen a huge evolution in how stories are told in games. They're way more cinematic now than I could ever remember them back when I was growing up.
Let's talk a little bit more about technology, because we are a technology company. The major console makers have been pushing the boundaries of mobile gaming with services like Stadia, things like Game Pass. Do you think the next big paradigm shift in gaming will be consoleless? Do you see a future where we're all playing games on the cloud instead of on consoles?
You've got a company like Microsoft, which is I think fully embracing blowing the doors off, restricting what their player base can do, because you have these play anywhere titles. Halo Infinite's going to come out soon, and that's going to be, you can play it on Xbox, you play it on PC, and you just have to buy it one time. And for some people, that's mind-blowingly different than the way that we grew up, where if you wanted to play a game, you had to have just the one console that you could play it on, and that was it. And if you didn't have it, you're kind of out of luck. Now, though, things have changed. You have games like Genshin Impact, one that I still play pretty consistently, that I could play on PlayStation, my PC. I can pick up a tablet and play it. I can play it on my phone. Fortnite is the same way. Fortnite absolutely destroyed people's expectations of what you could do in the gaming industry and where you could play your games. And I think that is the biggest step forward that we're going to see soon, is more and more adoption of multi-platform titles in a big way, and just allow your player base to play where they want to, because it will get them to invest more time and, in my opinion, more energy into the games that you're putting out.
Does the back-end technology, does the internet service, gigabit speed, does all that play a big part in this too, though? Like, do we need to have the connectivity that allows you to feed these types of games through the pipe?
I think that is going to make things, the speed at which the development of like cloud services and stuff like that, that's going to be accelerated exponentially by more accessible, high bandwidth connectivity. And when we get to that point, and more and more of the world is brought into that group of people that have access, you're going to see a faster development rate for like Stadia style services. And there's a ton now that are available that function, quite honestly, surprisingly well, especially over stuff like fiber optic connections. It's kind of crazy how fast that tech popped up too, because I can remember maybe 5 years ago, it was nowhere. And now you have multiple different services competing.
Yeah, I mean, I just kept thinking about dial-up and how long it took to just connect to the internet. So I don't know. Now I'm dating myself.
Don't worry, I'm right there with you.
Oh, good. I don't feel old now. What about mobile gaming? I mean, mobile gaming is a whole different beast, a whole different conversation, whole different genre. Do you feel that we're gonna get to a point where mobile gaming isn't just casual gaming? And what do you think it'll take to get there?
I kind of think in certain avenues we're already there. There are competitive events for games like PUBG Mobile, where people go to in-person events and play on these devices. I've seen Fortnite players on their iPads be absolutely insane at the game, and it's just a different avenue, a different way of interacting with the game. You know, the control scheme is different. You're using a touchscreen or sometimes a controller. I think that with the rate that technology is improving too, especially that you're looking at like phones now in our pockets that are more powerful than what we sent to the moon in the 60s, right? Like this, it's crazy how fast the tech has advanced. What you have in your hand is like a supercomputer from 20 years ago. So if that trend continues, it would not surprise me in the next couple of years if you're going to see stuff that can do the same level of performance that we're seeing now in like fully built out dedicated desktop machines. Tech is going to catch up. Everything's getting smaller and more compact, more mobile, and it would blow my mind if that wasn't one of the next waves of evolution for technology.
So you're a gamer. You're also a streamer. You were on the famous AOC stream. What was it like streaming with a major political figure? Like, was that insane? Do you think that this is like pretty much the gateway for gaming to come even more into the mainstream?
So for anybody that didn't hear or didn't see that, what had happened was we played Among Us with AOC, and it was an opportunity to promote voting from an audience that oftentimes is seen as an audience that doesn't go out and vote. You know, the 20-somethings that are old enough but just don't seem to have like an emotional connection enough to politics. And I'm going to be honest, I understand that. I saw it as an opportunity. Whether you're left, whether you're left, right, liberal, conservative, whatever it was, I didn't go into it with some affiliation one way or another. I just wanted to use that as a way to promote voting to my audience because it was an important thing at the time. You know, it was a presidential election. And I think a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, got real heated about it because politics oftentimes are seen as combative or extremes. It's like only one side or the other. There's no middle ground. But I will say this. I think that with the success that I hope that brought as far as getting voter turnout, it wouldn't surprise me if you did not see more politicians, more public figures start to utilize the gaming space. I have a fear that it gets too far weaponized and used in a way that is disingenuous to the spirit of gaming, which is everybody being included to play and have fun, right? I don't ever want to see it go down this path of being turned into something that is despised by people because it's used for something they don't agree with.
But on the other hand, it could also be the great equalizer, too. I mean, everybody loves gaming. You don't know what someone's political faction is on the other side of the headphones.
True.
For the most part.
100%. And I think that's an important thing to remember is that gaming as a whole, to me, is an excellent way to have humanity connect with humanity and just have fun and like find people that you can associate with. It's a safe space for a lot of people, and I think that's fantastic. That's one of my favorite parts about gaming is everybody can feel part of a fun experience, right?
Yeah, look, I'm here for all the fun. I completely get where you're coming from. I guess, what advice do you have for the young streamer? Someone who's literally streaming for like their 4 friends, like who want to make the jump to being a professional streamer. Do you have any advice for them?
It takes a lot of dedication. It takes perseverance, and it takes consistency to get to the place where you can call content creation your job. I think that it's a possibility for all types of people. It also is just as difficult as getting into acting or making it as a musician at the grand scale, you know, all the way at the very tippity top, where only a handful of content creators can really exist. It is very, very difficult to get there, but don't ever let things discourage you. Some people, it takes years to be discovered. It takes years to get to the point where they can call it their job. But it's okay to have a backup, especially when it comes to a career like this, where it really is quite honestly a roll of the dice sometimes as to whether or not you're going to make it. But so long as you're dedicated to it and you have a backup plan as a just in case and you're real with yourself about it, I think there's a chance for anybody to make it.
Do your parents understand what you do?
My dad passed away a couple years ago.
Sorry.
It's okay. I obviously didn't know. But it's funny. I remember having a conversation with him about a stream I was going to do for a game advertisement or whatever. And we were talking about it, and it blew his mind the way that this job kind of evolved. It's my parents were in my dad was in his late 60s, my mom is in her mid 60s, and they come from a generation where it's more about putting in your 9 to 5 every day, and consistency, and being held accountable for what you're doing and being there all the time. And this is very much a different kind of job that I think they ever expected their son to have. That being said, my mom wears DrLupo merch all the time when she comes over, so obviously there's a level of pride there. My mom's super involved in the stream. She shows up in chat all the time, and people love seeing her there. She'll come through this door right here sometimes. If I'm in the morning when she comes, she'll come over to hang out with my son, and she walks in and she just says hey, and chat sees her and says, hey, Mama Lupo, and then we go about our day. It's pretty funny. She's a big part of what I do now.
Back to the young streamers. Do you recommend they niche down to one type of subject matter, like one type of gaming type, or does it make sense to try out a lot of things?
That's a good question. Variety will give you more sanity, I'll be honest. You also open yourself up more to people that are there for the community and for you as a content creator. But I feel like it's much easier to grow initially if you pick a game and really stick to it and you dedicate your time to that. Because then you have people that will show up specifically for the game. You have people that show up for you, and you have people that show up for you and the game combined. And then as that grows, eventually you can introduce variety maybe a little more reliably without worrying about people going, oh, it's not this game I don't want to watch. Like, that's going to happen. I think the biggest thing you do is not let that stuff get to you and just do the thing that you want to do, because people want to watch happy people way more often than they want to watch anything else, right?
Yeah, I agree. As a professional gamer streamer, does the gear you use matter as much when you play? I mean, do you need professional level gear to do what you do?
You don't need it. That's the kicker. As far as on the streaming side, at least. But I'll be honest with you, it helps in a massive way. A buddy of mine started his stream from his PS4 with one of those, I'm going to be honest, a really trashy camera attached to it. And that was his stream. And now, obviously, he's like a full-fledged professional level content creator. But there are tons of people. I mean, streamers like Lyric still don't have a webcam. You don't need a camera. As long as you have like a microphone and a good personality, or at least something that's entertaining for people, you can make it. I think that's something that people don't realize is the icing on the cake is the quality of production. It's the hardware and software you put into what you're doing. It goes such a long way, but it's not required. You can do so much with so little nowadays that it's almost kind of mind-blowing that more people haven't tried and gotten into content creation, because the access door to get in is it's wide open, man.
Is there a piece of gear that you can't live without?
A quality microphone. It's funny I would say that, because you have streamers like Tyler One, who still plays with like a headset mic that is so terrible, but it's part of the charm of his stream. That's one of the reasons that people tune in, is because if he gets really loud and yells, it sounds super distorted and people will laugh at that. It's just, I'm going to be honest, there's so many things about being a streamer that I still don't even understand why they work the way that they do, but here we are,
I guess finally, what one game do you love that you play that people might not, think you would be playing?
Okay, so back in the day, I used to be obsessed, and haven't played them in a while, but would 100% jump back in with Sim City. Do you remember the old school Sim City games, 2000? And the original one was the top down. You build the 3x3 little apartment buildings, the commercial, industrial, residential, and like I for some reason, and it has to do with the analytical side of my brain being so overwhelmingly in charge a lot of the time. But building cities and like making things work like that, man, I used to play those games all the time. I would play Sim Tower, anything that Maxis would put out back in the 2000s. I owned and played like crazy.
So I have to ask, do you actually have a PhD, or are you like John Cena, have like a doctorate in thugonomics?
No, so do you want to know where my name is actually from?
Sure, why
Some people
not?
don't know this. My dad was a professor at the university that I went to college. And my friends thought it would be funny if I changed my username at the time to Dr. Lupo, because then they could make Halo jokes in class, because he knew enough about Halo that he would understand that they're being ridiculous, stuff like that. So I went ahead and changed it, and it just kind of stuck. Coincidentally, like I said earlier, my dad passed away a couple of years ago, and my wife has a saying that she told me, and I'm really glad that she did, is that a person dies twice. Once is when their body gives out, and the second time is the last time someone says their name. And because my name's Dr. Lupo on the internet, my dad still in a way is around, and it kind of makes me feel good about it, you know.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us today. How can the kids reach you?
If anybody's looking to watch, go ahead and pull up Twitter or Twitch, YouTube. Just go search for Dr. Lupo on Google, man. I'm right there. You can find me real easy.
Look, thank you very much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.